我那么学说好，我那么满就是也那么说是也那么我那么学说好。也就那做给就那来讲究嘛都那你个做起，大概去年给别做那给，做了本节上给做把手，去那做给就那来讲究嘛都那你个做起，大概去年给别做那给，做了本节上给做把手，去那做给就那来讲究嘛都那你个做起，大概去年给别做那给，做了本节上给做把手，为给就是没多长，让那些你的跟把的，上面心都没得不完也，就给那大些拉着把手，不然那们那拉岗的呀大呀没。理论上确定的这个对吧？这东西呢，现在知道，他们大概针对嘛，那是个定就觉得妈妈这个就叫妈是把它当成这个直接就妈的，对吧？对的，让到网络进入东西把新网的第一个，第一个那个直接就妈的，对吧？就比如说，偏不到这个，偏不就偏不到这个这个前面慢慢的新的，这个就是那个就强化不了意思。
Please adjust your sitting posture according to the 7 meditative postures of Vairocana. Think, all sentient beings have been my mothers. All sentient beings have been my mothers, not just once, but numberless times. All sentient beings are as kind as my mother in this life. Even though all kind mother sentient beings want happiness and do not even want a small suffering, due to mistakenly engaging with objects of adoptions and objects of abandonment, they do not experience any happiness but suffering. In our minds, sincerely cultivate loving kindness towards all kind mother sentient beings by thinking, how nice it would be if all kind mother sentient beings were to have excellent happiness and the causes of excellent happiness that are virtues. May they have excellent happiness and its causes. I will cause them to have excellent happiness and its causes. Lama deity, please bless me to be able to do so. Next, we cultivate compassion towards all suffering mother sentient beings by thinking, how nice it would be if all mother sentient beings were free from all suffering and the causes of suffering that are non-virtues. May they be free from all suffering and its causes. I will cause them to be free from all suffering and its causes. Lama deity, please bless me to be able to do so. Next, we cultivate bodhicitta. First, we ask ourselves, who should take the responsibility to free all mother sentient beings from the sufferings of samsara and lower realms? I should take the responsibility. Even though I should take the responsibility, I do not have the ability to place them in the state of perfect, complete enlightenment now. Who has such ability? Those perfect, complete Buddhas have the abilities. Therefore, for the sake of all mother sentient beings, by all means, I will achieve the precious state of enlightenment. Next, we meditate on emptiness for a short while. The self, and the aggregates neither exist as inherently one nor as inherently different, thus is empty of inherent existence. Set a good motivation. For the sake of all mother sentient beings, I will achieve the state of enlightenment. For this, I will listen to the holy teaching and practice properly in order to benefit sentient beings. Yeah, some get to enjoy. That's all. So we're going to begin with verse 63 and 64. And these two verses are under the outlines of, if one were to become attached to that, it would be appropriate to be attached to bodies in the charnel grounds. Under this outline, verse 64 and 63 and 64, they say, although such uncleanliness is obvious, if I have doubt, then I should look at the unclean bodies that have been disposed of at the charnel grounds. Although they understand that they will generate great fear of that from which the skin is rent open, in any case, they will again generate joy towards those themselves. So although such uncleanliness of the present body is obvious, so our bodies, our own body and the bodies of others, then is unclean and it is very obvious. Yet if I have doubts wondering, perhaps it is clean, then I should look at the unclean bodies of others that have been disposed of at the charnel grounds. Although they understand, so if we look at the unclean bodies at the charnel grounds, then we will be able to understand how unclean our bodies and bodies of others are. So although they understand that they will generate great fear of the body from which the skin is rent open, so if the skin of a bodies are torn or cut off, then you will understand how scary it is. Then in any case, they will generate joy again towards their own and women's body, since that is inappropriate. They should abandon attachment by contemplating that they are similar to the corpses in the charnel grounds. So if you look at the bodies, which bodies of the skins of whole body is rent open or is torn, then if you look at it again and again, then you will know how scary it is. And through seeing the corpses or dead bodies, then you will not generate delight in the bodies of oneself and others. Thus, you should abandon attachment. Next outline is the unclean body cannot be made clean by the scent of sandalwood and so forth. Yeah, the unclean body cannot be made clean by the scent of sandalwood and so forth. And under this outline is verse 65, 66, and 67. They say, the scents which anointed the bodies are sandalwood and the like, not that of others. Why are you attached to others? Because of scents of something else. Since it has a naturally foul odor, isn't it good to be unattached to it? Why do those who crave for the meaningless things of the world anoint it with pleasant scents? However, if that pleasant scent is sandalwood, how can it arise here in the body? Why am I attached to others? Because of scents of something else. That's right. So if the scents which anointed the bodies are of camphor, sandalwood, and the like, not that of others' bodies, then why are you attached to others' bodies? Because of scents of something unrelated. So if those opponents, they has their opinion, they think that, oh, I can make those unclean bodies attractive, or I can make those unclean body clean by anointing it with pleasant smells or pleasant scents of camphor, sandalwood, and so forth. However, you attach to the bodies because the sense of something else. So this shows that your attachment to the bodies and the sense of something, you attach to this body because of the sense of something else, then this shows that they are unrelated. So why are you attached to others' bodies? Because of the sense of something else. Next outline is, body doesn't go beyond the nature of disintegration. Under this outline is verse 68 and first two lines of verse 69. And under this outline, so there is an opinion. He says, by cleaning the hair, teeth, and so forth, it becomes beautiful and is an object to be desired. And in relation to this opinion, verse 68, so he says, if the body in its natural state is very frightening due to its long hair and nails and yellowish foul-smelling teeth being coated with the odor of dirt, why do I clean it with effort, like cleaning a weapon that will cause me harm?
가르스는 다 린지피 장기는 만데 봐 제대로 리 린지피 장기는 만데 봐라 다들 가르스는 다 리지네 봐 리지네 봐 대가로 짜다 세모 소라서 봐 진짜 여봐 나시 다 또보다 시바 시도 시바 근데 각게 맛이 대가로 앉아 샤바 이나 봐 대가로 앉아 샤바 이나 맞짱 쭈쭈 하기 린지바치 제다고 만데 봐지 다 대가 잘 없어 봐 지바치 실에 만데 봐서 와 지바치 만데 봐서 와 다들 간다 시도시네 제포선을 간다 아나도 자마서야 또 스타트 세모라서 받들이 또 받들이 맞짱나 간다 자만 로 피케지 되리 로 추아 지지도 와 담장나 자만라서 받들이 소니 반다 세모 또 받아 자스라마 사만 소진 소다서 받는 거 가서 받들이 시바다 담장나 되라 맞아 자만지 로 피케지 와 로 피케지 되리 세바이나 하여튼 대셔바를 가서 창창하시 당랑 내진 주고려면서 내진 주고려서
로 투시기 셰도
로 지시
로 투시기 왕결에
로 지시 지하시도 와 간다
기억이 셰도
저 뇌에서 개요 말아 뇌에서 잠만 자고 요 말아 뭐 장화 샤대로 와 나들이 뭐 장화 거 장화 따야시도 그러다 로 지시도 대가 통으로 와 장마시 유동하시 통으로 와 다들이 소이다 그때서 받으면서 장창하시 라는 뇌지든 주고려마다 대리배 변동게 이거 말했어요. 그러나 매서 가르친 지하고 해서 그러나 제대 가르친 시도 시바다 짜마서와다 여기 소다 소고 해서 다 간다 소다 소야 들어 맞아 자하다 이선한 노래 소다 소야 이거 세모 소다 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 소 이 먹고 소다 소고도 와 뭐들이 다 가시고 나서 돈바 소고도 와 돈바 소야 배샤 야 오늘 돈바 야 자도 먹고 지고다 그래서 다 들이 소야 로 가다 리 맞짱 될때 짱이 지시의 로 지야 체도 들이해서 근데 지시 지야 지나 로 지시의 휴점만 만들려고 때 소소 알아 상샤나시게 소소라가 내가 진게 마다 펜도하게 이거 말이죠 뭐 로 지시의 지만 하시는 것도 제르스나 뜻소 내지로 와 그로 와 너희는 쓰기 지만로 되게 지만 하시 제스는 하고 자고로 와 어떤 지만 마시바 뜻로 지시지다 로 로시 뜻이 지만으로 수선 돌아이나 이 제스는 때 소소 내지야 마다 펜도하게 요 말아 어디시부터
So in response to this opinion, he says, since the naked body in its natural state is very frightening due to its long hair and nails and yellowish foul-smelling teeth being coated with the odor of dirt, why do I clean it with effort like cleaning a weapon that will cause me harm, that will kill me? So when we talk about these naked bodies, our hairs, our nails, and etc. So if we leave it as it is, then hair will grow, and then nails will grow long as well. And then if we leave it as it is, then without cleaning it, without cutting it, without rubbing it, or without cleaning it, or without making our hairs or nails in different hairstyles, or even putting makeups on our face and etc. So if we leave this body in its natural state, then so in order to generate for the sake of generating a mistaken consciousness with regard to these naked bodies, so through making our hair into different hairstyles, making up through putting makeup, or even cleaning it, cutting hairs, nails, and etc., then we generate this mistaken consciousness, thinking that they are clean, they are in fact clean, they are in its natural state clean. So however, this is a mistaken consciousness, and if we were to follow or follow this mistaken consciousness, it will only cause us harm, it will not bring any benefits to us. Next outline is contemplating it as an object of repulsion. Under this outline is next two lines of verse 69 and verse 70. They say, hence this world is completely disturbed by insanity due to the effort of those who are confused about themselves. When my mind is despondent in the charnel grounds, through having beheld nothing but skeletons, will there be any joy in the charnel grounds? which are cities filled with moving skeletons. Hence, this world is completely disturbed by, that is pervaded by, the insanity of continual, disturbed by afflictions due to the efforts of those beings who are confused about themselves. When my mind is despondent regarding the bodies in the charnel grounds, so despondent can also be translated as reposed. So when my mind is reposed regarding the bodies in the charnel grounds, through having beheld nothing but skeletons in the charnel grounds, will there be any joy in the charnel grounds? And thus joy is inappropriate. So these verses are related to the previous verses as well. So due to confusion, then due to confusions, in order to generate a wrong thought, thinking that they are in fact clean, then we clean their bodies by cutting hairs, putting makeup, or making our hair into different hairstyles and etc. So then in order to generate such wrong thoughts, then we clean the bodies, cut and etc. So then all these are done because of afflictions. And when my mind is reposed regarding the bodies in the charnel grounds, through having beheld, so looking at those dead bodies, or looking at those dead bodies in the charnel grounds, then will there be any joy? And joy is inappropriate. Saji diang di temba di lagi na. Kaduro yana diang mindua tuma ki be samba. That's all. Next outline is brief indication. Under this outline, there are 3 verses, verse 71, 72, and 73. They say, in this way, the unclean is not found within paying a price. Through accomplishing their purpose, I exhaust myself and will be harmed in the house and the like. A child is unable to increase his wealth, so with what can he be happy when he is in the prime of life? And when life is spent due to accumulating wealth and the like, having aged, what use will sex be? Some lustful, negative people wear themselves out by working all day, and when they return home, their exhausted bodies lie prostrate like corpses.
example ke yung maris dan jibe yo de so so be samana shi de rutu ya ke yung maris rutu ya yung maris de de ma so da da kan da so so lo ben je da lo be da ma ka la de be che la san lo zawa ni ma ko ba de zhang jia lang ko ma ko是da de do do de de zhang ba lang ko ma ko是de ko ko ba ina de be so so ha chang lo be so so bin ko cha de ga la de mo ne zhang ni de jibe example ke yo maris de
So in relation to these three verses, their meanings is whether is a male or a female. So at the time of our life, so it means that when we are young, then we do not remember Dharma at all. We do not recall Dharma at all. We do not recollect Dharma at all, and we only spend our time thinking about our family, thinking about wealth, thinking about resources, and in this way, time is spent in this way. And when we become old, then there will be no good result await. There will be no good results. There will be no results as what we wish for, as we wish. So therefore, do not only think about those desirable objects. So otherwise, when we become old, then there will be no good results, and there will be no result as wished. Next outline is, it is difficult to meet the desirable due to the distant place. Under this outline is verse 74. He says, some have the sufferings of afflictions of long distance travel and of being far away. Although they long for women, they will not see them for entire years. So the meaning of this verse is, so if we only think about desirable objects, if we only think about those resources, objects of enjoyment, and for these, then we separate from our family members, separate from our children, and then have no choice but to go abroad or go to distant places for such purposes. So don't mention about Dharma. We will experience the sufferings of not being able to meet our family members. So we will experience the sufferings of not being able to meet our beloved ones and family members as wish. Next outline is getting many undesirables due to falling under the control of others. Under this outline is verse 75. He says, those who wish for benefit out of confusion even sell for their sake of that, but not attaining that, they are driven by the winds of others' actions that lack purpose.
다 펜비체도 펜반데바 대지도 탑지 샤와 두당텔라 몸비왕 다샤 데라 펜 상로투스 코르디나 다데 샤와 두다데 수소 몸비왕 데 수소 다 다니 좀 다 다니 좀 봐서 다 노노지 체도 랑이 체도 그 리좀 다 리좀스나 때다 노다 다월베 나다 좀 봐 내가 리아게 다 수소 당자 샤바 든지 와다 먼지 든지 요러와 어 든지 리좀 봐 때문에 든지 수소는 정화야마다 리좀사리 주세지 자사리 든지 체도 다 내가 관나 체도 든지 다 몇째 든지 다 수소는 정화야마와 다 체도 심하니까 동안 체도는 동안 요한 이와 심하나 제비 상복에 요 말레스 간 제비 상복 요하게 요 말레스 그 심화 당한 보고 지우와 어다 디레 다다와 다 몸비왕 간다 수소라 내바데 핀토 요한 체도 간다 두바레 두당데 타도 노아레스 간다
세디시양 등의
뭐
용기래.
첸들라 되는 용어로와 심하나 이와 다 첸들라 되는 용어라 용어와
So, in order to benefit oneself and in order to benefit one's family, then one is confused with regard to the actions that accomplish it, or to the way or the method to accomplish this purpose. Then one sells their own bodies. So they sell their own bodies as a servant or as a slave for years or for months, for example, and during which then they are not able to go back to their family. So, and through these, then one definitely will experience suffering in these lives and in future lives as well.
뭐지와 다티올라 사제들 미지 뉴스 손도가 되려와 다들라 라라 랑그 류종지 오메 힌지 고지데 주마 다자 보시나 힌두 gemba 바바 중세 와 그래서 어다데 디비션
Next outline is being.
디원 만년이다 리빌리빌 멤버다 천대츠와 샤워히 손도 요 손도 도지 유던주 계십전도 로아 시스티 인념이다.
So next outline is lacking self-power and lacking self-power and quickly losing lives. Lacking self-power and quickly losing lives. And under this outline is verse 76 and 77. They say, some sell their own bodies and without any power are exploited by others. Even when their wives give birth, their children fall at the foot of trees and in isolated places. Fools who are deceived by desire, wishing for a livelihood, although afraid of losing their lives, go to war, thinking, I shall make a living. They become slaves for the sake of profit.
다들 메서드 hingi 봐. 다베 요보스나 지연스나 간다. hingi 치도 로사리. 다들 로차이지라. 다미 제바라고 지나. 이 제차이나. 예소소비 때 나기 지미 부구 지야이나. 이 부구 제사게 때 등지 강발 제바 매바. 다 치노를 그 힌두 자때 싹 잡고 들리나 배 부구 제고야게. 되게 강게 제시고 내세. 와. 이리베 다 소소비 베스 파폰의 신화도 로바이나. 든디기에 소소기 소화 강에 되고 다 든디기 램바 그 소소기 가다 소화 강에 누구에 돼 이나다 내가 제가 마시 봐. 다 든디 강에 전부 제고리 했어. 당연히 디상 든디고 소소 든디기 체는 너무 쉬고야 대고 요한 체 판도네 벨라는 거도 벨라네 소소기 청화야 미 든디 마무 용도 다 든디기 타 몸바 쓰라 소소기 쪄봐야 뭐 제고리 다 소소 내가 가리나 쪄봐야 뭐 제고리 했어 가다 이거는 제고 무슨 라이저 야보는 거 같은 거 제시 좀 쉬어라게 맞아 뒤니도 라이저에도 아마 근데 뒤다 기마 어때서도 담보 수속을 내가 가보지나 대사기사 가와이나 서로 제거야 보시 원이 수속 내가 내는 나차라고도 뭐 저 노야도 뭐도 참아 제거야 보시 해서 뭐 어다 들리 제거 마지막에 저 노야 먼저 저 당하면 저 수속을 나는 네 자타야 저 카텐도다 강이 체도다 다 들리 마음을 요구를 해서 어다 들리 요무시 마말 저 수속이 앞에 내가 체다는 마음이라고 이제 그 수속에 고사야라 뼈머리 차 들리 체도 내가 베스코로 리페 고소 영화를 봤다. 이 제발나 뜻이세. 나 들리가 나도 소도야 내가 그랬어. 와, 시랑 소 마도 판도는 소도야 내가 그랬어. 나 들리기 강에 제가 쏘는 제발야 붙여 그래서 내가 제발야 붙여 그래서 다 된다 되는 거야. 라 세대다 세시만 니가라 소속에 다 간다 강에다 동에 많지와 저로 당분이 제발야 붙여 그래서 나 도도들이 나지야 시다 때
Some people sell their own bodies as slaves and without any power are exploited by others. So when they sell their bodies, then they have no self-power and they kind of give their own right to the owners, to their owners. And even when their wives give birth, since they are homeless, their children fall at the foot of trees and in isolated places and need to remain there. And yeah. So and then when their wives gives birth, then since they are homeless, they are poor and homeless, therefore they have no choice but to give birth to baby at the foot of trees or in isolated places. And fools who are deceived by desire, wishing for a livelihood out of the wish to sustain their lives for a long time, although afraid of losing their lives, go to war for the sake of wealth, thinking, I shall make a living through gain. They become slaves for the sake of seeking profit for themselves, thereby experiencing various sufferings. So here it says, fools who are deceived by desire. So they wish for a good life, and then they wish for a good life for themselves and for their families, or wish for the happiness, wish for happiness or comfort for their family members, and then however, they are confused about the method to accomplish this wish, to fulfill this wish. So due to this confusion, they only experience suffering in these lives and in future lives as well. So this is a very good advice. Is a very good advice given by Shantideva. So Shantideva's advice is very good because this advice is useful even in the modern days as well. So nowadays there are many people, in order to earn a livelihood, to get a good pay and etc., then they do not know the proper method to accomplish it, and then some they disappeared. Some they become some they are disappeared or unable to accomplish their. So some are disappeared because of this confusion about the method to accomplish this wish. So nowadays it happens, right? So some of them, they want to get a good pay, and then they travel far, and then they become disappeared. So therefore, in order to accomplish this wish, then we must check properly the method to accomplish this wish. So otherwise, then we might end up not being able to return to home, not able to return to home to be together with our family members. And also in order to earn a livelihood, they become a soldier, and then in order to get a higher rank, and then in order to get more armies, and then in order to get more armies, and yet they are confused with the method to accomplish it. So therefore, they might end up being shot dead in the war. So therefore, when we so therefore checked properly, so as to not experiencing suffering in these lives, in future lives.
lumba shinda gumi lumba shinda tum rungwa o te ma ma te tum ti chine tanda sa ni mo te rungwa ta te so ni ma be chi wa ni be ma be chi di ye ma so da so ngel pe ha chang na nga che ta wa ni mi ma lang do ma lang de so so to de di ta di sam ni su ta wa se
So even nowadays, and they are mercenaries, right? And then they go to other countries in order to fight a war for them. So in order to get paid, or in order to get a big sums of money and etc. So this also happens in these modern days.
而对这个先进网的，就是东安南做的，对吧？这对吧？对了嘛？对了，那理解理讲解释，科技实现这了组织，科技浓度达到认识，科技设法他讲从啥的送到那边东安一些，那呢，工作他有些个差事，对我就觉得最重要是。
Next outline is falling under the control of others and connecting to various and continuous suffering. Under this outline, there are verse 78 and first two lines of 79. Yeah. So they say some lustful people even have their bodies cut. Some are impaled on the points of sticks. Some are stabbed with daggers, and others burned. Such things as these are sin. Due to the torment of collecting, guarding, and losing it, I should understand wealth to be infinite problems.
那这个讲到这里的话，我讲到对，他好像在把这里讲到科技的话，讲到科技讲到这里是吧？希望的去的是吧？希望的去的，这个上大马西个节，让个让出马多节，谈到的了我，让个让出马多，你看了那地方多也对的，是吧？你看了那地方多，那地方多的，小啊，是说个你这个全部农浪去休息啥个的，你希望的多呢，这公嘛过的。小把结巴他，小啊龙巴是这个青岛门的吧，青岛门的吧，小啊年吧，是吧？小啊年吧，等的忙不接，等的接的，说说个人出门对吧？先就往头着吧，是吧？说说人出门对吧？等的往头着呢，小啊年吧，公嘛小把结巴了是吧？等的农浪去扫把呢，就是龙巴个青岛门的吧，等的忙不接的，你刚硬的，这干的了是呢，龙巴的，刚的，学人他们他就了，成绩个了，他干的，成绩哇。听这个，说这个你刚把喇叭是吧？对不对？等你们听忙不多，你是听忙不了，刚把喇叭对不对？该几百新社区的做的大概等于这样，你有点看到了哇？社区这个做吧，这个就这样做了是吧？等你别说节约节，说大哇说小了，那科技没的啥的没得大，对不对？是吧？我到等你重要的，那说个罗啥吧，生活的他们那边的另外的，那看到说的他希望到了希望的就是让个让出嘛对吧？就希望的呢，但他妈的通过的那等于希望的个啥呢？但他妈的没说发现看个对，等于结果就把结果受不了也是，是吧？我到底等于当初用的也是我的，用的对吧？也是我的，让出嘛对吧？是吧？让个别是说个希望的话忙多少去，新的别忙多少，但是说结果也不结果的，那点是吧？结果也不结果的也是。农忙去说白了，说是说当然了，说当然了，是说特别别，是吧？你把个听到蛮高啊，就是说学嘛个，是吧？年轻嘛不呀，你看得见了啥呀，是吧？我你讲嘛个听到问题吧，但是小人嘛你这里看到。
So in relation to these verses, then the meaning is, so in order to accumulate wealth, then we engage in, then we in order to accumulate wealth, then we lose our own self-power. So we lose our own self-power means that then we fall under the control of others, or we listen to others. Then we engage in negative actions such as rob others of possessions or steal others' possessions and so forth. And since these are negative actions and they are illegal, and at the end, so don't mention that let alone accumulating wealth, we will experience suffering in these and future lives as well. So because since these negative actions are illegal, then they will be sentenced to punishment such as having their limbs, their hands or legs cut off, or being impaled on a stick and etc., or their bodies, or they are thrown into fires and so forth. So this happened in the past when they did any illegal actions, or did whatever that break the country rules, then they will receive such punishment. So don't mention, so let alone accumulate wealth, even though they did those actions for the sake of accumulating wealth. So the consequences of doing such negative actions is they will not accumulate any wealth, but experience suffering in these and future lives. Therefore, when we accumulate wealth, then we must examine properly the proper method to accumulate wealth.
다 타발라 기시 단주 추신 받들어와 이제 다 놀아 차비 인바 줘봐는 시비 동에 내도 까메도 되되나나 되라서 님이 뭐라 노주디 신간 리비 슈다비스 짠 칸은 서버지 원래 명이다 슈지 누나가 뭐거비 노주 칸이 되되도 단주 피서 내간디 레지 나와 넘치 쫀세 그다 되냐입니다.
Next outline is hindering liberation and wasting leisures and endowments. Under this outline, there are 3 verses. Next 2 lines of verse 79, verse 80, and verse 81. They say, those who are distracted by their attachment to wealth have no opportunity to attain freedom from the sufferings of secular existence. Desirous people have many disadvantages, such as these, and little benefit. In the same way, ox and the like, drawing carriages, eat a few mouthfuls of grass. Even ox and the like can achieve this. Those who are pained by their actions destroy the perfect leisures and endowments so difficult to find, for the sake of something of little benefit, which is not so rare.
단지가 변화된 것도 디시고래 바로 나도 타바타바라 개체그래 단주 취수나 단주 토라는 거 그래서 단주 리딩과 토라는 거 딱되기 내가 가르치고 있으면 우리 타바타바라 개체바 단주 리딩 토라 봐야 돼다 놀라 차비요 다 주자 주로라서 밥에 요 나서 봐요 다도 자마는 차바치를 주라 나영와 주라 나영와 주라 양도 주라 배 론치반 주디 내 간다 내 시비 동아 네 돈에 타바토하라 내 바치시고 했어 와 시비 동아리 바토니 내 타바토하라 내 가요 뭐 바치시고 했어 와 바치고 나 가서 세인데서 지금 위치에 대화 전주지 대화 전주지 빼는 리시로 대화 맞아 신다야 전전 이게 다 원고 있는 거 따이는 거 속에 야 이제 깔아 랑갈 빼는 자 캄부 관사하게 대화 장주로 와 어때 든디기 대화장이 맞아 기어마 체대장이 되도 대화 주주지 되도 든디기 주나 다 간다 지금 말이다 소소 간다와 타바다 토야라 개체로 그래 와 타바토야라 그게 시비 뭐야 누가라 두고 말이스 두고 말이 근데 대화 주주지 된다라 맞아 체들이 대화 주주지 된도 맞아 든도 저라 또 전부야 대화 체들이 대화 두어라 때 이거 전부 또 전부 열어서 체들이 대화 두어라 이거 전부 열어서 리니 버치고 요스다 내가 말하는 단다 다 진짜 버치서 이게 체버지 야부지 토리가라 때때디 최주도 만도와 초라 만도와 쓰고 리디 자 첨부데 초라 만도와 내 간다 와 세들라페 내가 들어라서 봐라 님이 가리하면 대왕의 신화의 기본도에는 님이 가리하면 그래서 상호야 또는 그 단주지 님부 인들 님부 내가지 내가 치고 해서 다 된다 들어와 이 님부들 lembola che faccio riese da dire tutto.
So due to torments of collecting, guarding, and finally losing wealth, I should understand wealth to be the root of infinite problems at all times. So those whose minds are distracted to various objects by their attachment to wealth have no opportunity to attain liberation through being free from the sufferings of secular existence due to being reborn in secular existence again and again by the force of karma. So those whose minds are distracted to various objects of attachment, such as pleasant sound, form, pleasant sound, beautiful form, taste, objects of touch, and so forth, then because of this, then we will not be free from the sufferings of secular existence. Since we are not free from secular existence, therefore we will be reborn in secular existence again and again and experience suffering. And desirous people who have craving to objects of desire for the sake of merely this life have many disadvantages, such as the sufferings explained above and little benefits of happiness, in the same way as, for example, ox and the like, growing carriages, eat a few mouthfuls of grass while on the move. So then just like those oxen and etc. and horses, then they draw carriages, and then what they will get is a few mouthfuls of grass. So desirous people who have, and just like this example, desirous people who crave for objects of desire and then for the sake of happiness in this life, and those benefits and the happiness is very little and is of little benefits. And accomplishings of happiness and the dispelling of suffering for the sake of merely these lives is present in animals that are more powerful than human beings. So in these aspects, accomplishing happiness and also dispelling sufferings, animals, they have a greater power than human beings to achieve that. So even though ox and the like can achieve such, the happiness of these lives is something of very little benefits. It's very little benefits. So therefore, do not waste this special basis. Do not waste this precious basis, which is the basis of 8 leisures and 10 endowments. Do not waste it. Do not waste it, and do not think only about these desirable objects. If we were to fall under the control of desirable attachment to desirable objects, then So think properly. What are the disadvantages if we were to fall under the control of desirable objects? If we think only about desirable objects, so think about their disadvantages and put these special basis into good use and strive to extract essence from this special human body. Next outline is, having contemplated the drawbacks, generate the mind striving for liberation. Under this outline, there are 2 verses, verse 82 and 83. They say, the objects of desire will certainly disintegrate, and then I shall fall into the hells and the like. The hardship of exhaustion arises for the sake of what is not very great. If Buddhahood itself is achieved with just 1/1,000,000th of that difficulty, the desirers have greater suffering than practitioners of enlightenment, but there is no enlightenment.
대화서 누야서 자니네 대라봐 주세 마당봐 와 뇌 지보라 봐 차바 세보라다 뇌 지보라 차바 단 대비 요디 지보라 차바 든지 이마이나 단 대비 요디 간다 못된 방에 반 지번 좋아 대비 요디 간디 지어바나 제시지 perwa 제보 제시지 때 대화 때문에 대비 요디 저 방에 반 이런 지도 그랬어 지도 그래서 와 지도 그래 이때 요 말했어 예쁜 지도 그래 다 대라 벤저라서 봐 지도라 차는 된도이나 내소도 동에 그 주차하고 그랬어 내소만 그냥 주차하고 그래 근데 비인데 대가 뛰네 토비 대화 저러 내가 대 지도라 뛰네 토비 대화대 대화다 가와대 타투밖에 말해 또와대 주르보게 또와 지금 말해 대화 땡보게 요 말했어 가와 이제바이나 가와대 땡보게 요 말했어 가와다 또와다 대화 참아 땡보게 요 말했어 땡보게 막 추즈 지마도 요 말했어 와 요 말했어 그 뒤진 뭐 가와 대화 뒤진 뭐 되게 말했어 와 뒤진 뭐게 되게 말했어 내 들이 대라 때문에 딱 소소 깔리치 뭐 나도 지까지 때 하장 시이 찾는 좋아 주는 것이로 와 근데 시이 찾지 근데 깔리지나 상지지 공부 도발 누야 연하냐 와 공부 누나야 아 근데 게 깔리지 들어와 안 대바데 베디 같이 전부 들이 놓지네 그 차도 배 눈에지 요구래 막 눈에 쳐보지 요구래 막 풀라 풀라 가서 피하게 또 비 장주지 공부하다 타바다 되게 라상부터 되지 그렇게 이거 말해 yes 이거 말해서 와 어떤 깔래 휴청보지 나 전화대 가서 내려라서 봤어라 저원이네 지하 요말 누야 요말 디케션 말와 디케션 말에 가르치나 난 내려라서 봤 대다로 한고 거니 이 최자원이 말이 봐이나 난 내려대 하자 친구 제시 저보와 저보고 제시 집에 되게 요즘 저희는 앞에 나온다는 지리와다 그래서 이거 됐어 와 어떻게 계시고요
Yeah. So in general, so we are not talking about that we do not need to put effort in accumulating wealth or in accumulating resources and so forth. So because we still need these wealth and resources in order to sustain this body. So we need it. It's just that we do not think about resources. We do not think about this wealth and objects of enjoyment only. So because if you were to think about it only, if you only think about this, then and do not think about Dharma at all, then since these resources, this wealth that you desire so much, they are unstable and they subject to the disintegration. So even don't mention about those don't mention about our own wealth, our own resources, even a kingdom, even wealth and resources of a country will quickly disintegrate. So don't mention our own wealth and resources. And if we only think about wealth, resources, and so forth, it will only become causes. It will only become the causes of our own bad migrations. So, and even if you were to even if you were to obtain this wealth, these resources, great wealth, great resources, and so forth, the happiness that you obtain is not the final happiness. The happiness that you obtain is not the final type, and they are unstable as well. The happiness, the joy, the delight that you obtain is not the final one, and they are not stable as well. So it means that they are not going to last long. So, and for this, for their sake, so for the sake of wealth, resources, and so forth, if you put in great effort, even though you put in great effort, you will not achieve the ultimate results, which is the state of enlightenment or even a state of liberation. So even though you put in great effort for their sake, you will not obtain the ultimate result or the final results, which is the state of enlightenment. Next outline is contemplating the drawbacks of objects of desire. Under this outline is verse 84. He says, having contemplated the sufferings of hell and the like for the desirous ones, weapons, poison, fire, ravines, and foes do not compare. So if you have contemplated the resultant sufferings of hell and the like due to performing negativities for the sake of objects of desire, you will see that for the desirous ones, even the disadvantages of weapons, poison, fire, ravines, and foes do not compare to the harm of objects of desire. Hence, you should not be attached to objects of desire. And if we, due to great attachment to objects of desire, and if we were to fall under the control of it, or if we were to follow this attachment, and then we create negativities, then we will, and the result of negativities is we will born in lower realms or even in hell as well, or in hell. So even when we talk about the disadvantages of weapons, poison, fire, ravines, and so forth, and enemies, so their disadvantages are not comparable to the disadvantages or harm that objects of desire bring. So therefore, we should not attach. We shouldn't be attached to objects of desire. Next outline is cultivating joy in isolation. Cultivating joy in isolation or in solitude. Under this outline is first two lines of verse 85. They say, having in this way developed disillusion to objects of desire, I should generate joy for solitude. And the meaning of these two lines is, so having developed disillusionment in this way to objects of desire, then I should generate joy for solitude and accomplish concentration in isolation. Next outline is the attributes of excellent abode and so forth. Under this outline is next two lines of verse 85 and 86. They say, within pacified forests, devoid of disputes and afflictions, the fortunate ones at joyful mansions of vast flat stones, cooled by the sandalwood moonlight and by the stirring peaceful forest breeze free from noise, think of what is of benefit for others and stroll there.
다 간단히 해봐서 다 간단 다 쳐보시고 간단 콜리지 저번 된다다 자신데 비용되라 여러 놓지 받아서 당와서 된디 시인든지 리니에 받는 시인든지 나서봐 단 계세라서 봐 저봐도 타모자 우리 저봐 타모전다 저봐도 리지 이거 말해서 봐 리 이거 말해서 간다 아주 리드 배 연발 차서와 리드 연발 차서 리 이거 말해서 내 나한테 남기세 차단 몬스와 나한테 제 차단 몬스를 지 소파 이왕도 실로 그랬어 와 차단 몬스 시다 가능한 시기를 저봐 배와 타모다 그래서 다루시바 여러 그래서 다다 유아시바들이 요 말이스 네 맞지 봐이나 그 나기 세와 나기 차단 몬스와 나기 세 차단 몬스도 명문 저봐 이게 넘버 1 쇼도 실로 넘버 1 사도 요 말이스 넘버 1 사들이 요 말이스 그러니까 그래서 야부 되겠어 와 그네베 레버지 저 겨와다 템바서 다와 쓰나지 다이 스디 진디지 쇼니 스웨 니 아시스와但你早全部了我来对适应你的好像你也不能不去修是吧人的心都样比都看嘞是吧都来看不上不上道是吧都来看不上不上道两个哇他说个遇到问题吧你进来对吧呢他遇到问题吧呗说呗念上的七度波忙给他对是吧七度波忙给给这都这些你给有个马的你给这么念吧这个你有个马的说网骗啊你是吧？所以说把骗过的，还有些呢，你等这个呗，都把人的钱给你我的是吧？给你呗，他等到早全部念的，你有的是是吧？在这里上，但刚才你也把这被切的话，就他你进来点出来是吧
？So these verses talks about abiding in a place of solitude, and then it talks about the environment of the solitude, and it says, just as a wheel-turning king is free from rivals and enjoys happiness with regards to the objects of desire, within forest pacified of distractions that are devoid of outer disputes and afflictions, such as the conditions of attachments and hatreds of others, the fortunate ones who have behaved well in the past at very vast, flat, joyful stones that are mentioned like as though an abode anointed and cooled by the cool sandalwood moonlight at a place that is beautified by the stirring, soft, peaceful forest breeze, free from noise, discordant with the mind. Yeah, free from the mind. So here he talks about, or he explains the environment or the conditions of the solitude that we abide in for the practice of concentration and for the practice of concentration and bodhisattva. So here he says, so for the sake of doing the meditation. So here he says that the environment is environmentally or physically, then we are free, since it is an isolated place, so therefore is free of outer disputes and afflictions. So since you are the only one, then you are free from the conditions of attachment, and you are free from the conditions of hatred as well. So and then that is the external isolation, that you are free from these conditions of attachment, hatred, and ignorance, and you are free from these conditions of competitiveness, conditions of quarrel, and so forth. And internally, our mind is, if we were to abide in such a solitude or isolated place, then our mind will be free of distractions. And those places are free from unpleasant noise, such as harsh speech and so forth. So if we are able to, so here it talks about abiding in a solitude place like this. Next outline is the benefit of obtaining self-power. Under this outline is verse 87. It says, they dwell for as long as they wish in empty houses, at the foot of trees and in caves. Having abandoned the sufferings of owning and guarding possessions, they are carefree without concern. They dwell for as long as they wish in empty houses. They are free from other beings at the foot of trees and in mountain caves. So in the past, then on mountains, then there are houses. They are empty houses, and then at the foot of trees and in mountain caves, then they will stay at those places and then engage in practice. Having abandoned the sufferings of owning many possessions and guarding them without deterioration, they abide carefree without the concern of worries. So, abiding in such places, then they do not have the worry that they need to guard their possessions, they need to protect their possessors, they need to protect these possessions from losing and so forth. So they abandon such suffering and fear in relation to possessions. So they have no such sufferings, fear, and worries. And so if we put this in these modern days, then we can think that our houses is something like this, and we can think that it is like an isolated place or a solitude. Then we engage practice in it. Next outline is the benefits of contentment. Under this outline is verse 88. It says, utilizing freely without attachment, having no ties with anyone. Even lords have difficulty finding that which is the enjoyment of happy contentment.
눈코에 봤다 대래야 대바다 마와다 하바다 장와다 뭐다 들리기 뭐부지 상황 땅바이나 then 내가 생각이 타라 통바 와 내가 생각이 타라 통바 내가 생각이 타라 통수나 한번에 쳐봐 이따가 잘 들어요 빨리 가고 쉬어요 와 어다 들리기 니 바치라 대바이나 다 간데 계속 왔으나 나라 늦지게 자네 파 마가 누구야 자네 종주기 년자 신이 내려 와 그거는 야 중앙 로바 제구사 로바 제구사야 년자 신이 요 말이스 하 늦지게 자네 요 말이스 와 늦지게 자네 야 종주기 년자 신이 야 때라 동사기 뱀보메스 와 되라 아니들라 때라 동사기 뱀보메 마메라 동사서 강지메스 와 지금 어다 들리지라 니지라 되네 던저지 초시 전에 던서도 주반 안에 잡아이나 방안에 다 된다고들 하다 왜 간디지나다 하자가 니 까와레스 하다 미시 니 들리지 예사지 니 까보레스 다 밤이 간디지나 내가 좋아 예사 중앙이나 이다들에 된다
Utilizing freely the dwelling resources and so forth as they wish, without attachment at places they have no ties with anyone. Even lords of gods and humans have difficulty finding that which is the enjoyment of happiness, of contentment with just mediocre food, clothes, and so forth. Hence, the skillful should make effort in relying upon solitude. And here you see that if we are so we should be contented at staying at those isolated place or staying at those solitude, and so whatever foods or whatever clothing that we have, then we should be content and without attachment to them, and without think that I want more, I want something better, I want excess more than what I have, more than what I need, and more than or better than what I have. So we shouldn't have this attachment to a better one, to more, and without any, because if we were to think about if we are not content with whatever we have, and then we keep thinking about we want more, we want something better, then we will fall into the extremes of degenerations of merit and fortune through desire. So previously we also talked about these two extremes as well. One is the extremes of degenerations of merit and fortune through desire, and another one is the extremes of ascetic practice. So if we are not content with whatever we have, then we will fall into the extremes of degenerations of merit through desire, and and by depending on necessities, then we will not fall into the extremes of ascetic practice as well. So if we were to fall in either extreme, then we will not become a good quality. We will not become a good practitioner, and then we will not be able to achieve the state of enlightenment as well. So if the benefits of relying in isolation or staying in solitude, the benefits are there are no enemies or the person that we don't like to destroy, and there are no friends and relatives to help or to associate with, and there will be no bosses. There will be no bosses or higher rank ones that we need to praise, and there are no one to be despised as well. So staying in those isolations or staying in solitude have such benefits, which is difficult to come by. Next outline is the modes of meditating on equalizing oneself with others. Under this outline is verse 89. Verse 89. He says, having through such ways as this thought about the excellences of isolation, I should completely pacify conceptualizations and meditate on bodhicitta.
那是比孽缘吧，那老是某个学生的话，孽缘吧，我因为原的是孽缘比原的是上不去的是吧？孽缘吧给他原的去考虑嘛，这不生了呀，不上当，是吧？上当的，这些有些的，能提起生起来，20倍的力了，我那么多把修啊，
去有些
是有些，能记住的话，是有些的，能记住生起来的话，就是了吧，他能多修啊修啊，我的话，吃把修啊修。
能具以什么？
继续升级哈，继续升级，能继续升级的，是有些老师吧，老说罢了，他能多把习惯的，是吧？这了能多把习惯的，就要习惯的，那长久去成功吧，加过来也是很难，现在多的话，我的成功嘛，你原本的话，原比你原点就是把3把7的那些有些的，能继续升级，那么吃饱了是吧？这能把多把这把喜欢习惯的。那都是把喜欢习惯的，那长久去成功嘛，加过来也是嘛，晓得的吧？
So the meaning of this verse talks about the modes of meditating on equalizing oneself with others. So it means that having properly thought about the isolated place and the benefits of it and the qualities of it, then by way of pacifying conceptualizations such as attachment in relation to external possessions and internal mind, then we should cultivate bodhicitta. We should meditate on bodhicitta.
到底我了这个看到现在两把呢，大部分人都没得过，对的，你两边呢，看起到是生活家是，我到底嘛就是恐怕就是嘛安排起嘛那个是吧？
Next verse is verse 90, which is related to previous verse. Verse 90 says, first of all, I should make an effort to meditate upon the equality between self and others. I should protect all as I do myself because of equal happiness and suffering.
这个讲到这个，你喜欢俺就跟我的嘛，长久性的功夫呢是老实在的话，他长久性的功夫呢，他长久性功夫他看着过呢，他长久性功夫的他写的话，他看了的呢长久性功夫的是，他当不他的了的，当不他长久性这个，去了当不他的，我把这结果的话，他恐怕的，他的这里看他，他的现在两把是吧这里是吧？大些两把过来，大些两把的，他看着功夫是，大些两把功夫的也是。 那大型两把，大部分的大型两把的人别的工把加过来，干的加过来，其他工去了，那大个的话，切都不是话，大个的话切都是东啊，切动我把电脑线，那先去东啊来呀，东来电脑哪些结果的，你去东啊，切都是话的，的话切都都把电脑线是吧？东来就把电脑线，那先去的话都把东啊是话，那边呢，那边是个团结，大型结果是的不是我加过的也是。 等到这里的话，让对方对吧？那些先对方对吧？集中的，让对面们对吧？那些先对面们对吧？集中的，这个是两把起来，大型两把是关键的话，大型两把关键。
So in previous verse, it talks about it ends with one should meditate on bodhicitta, and then this verse it talks about how do we what is the method by means of what method should we cultivate this bodhicitta? Then it says the answer in this verse is one should so one should meditate on the equalizing oneself with others, as it says in the second lines of verse 90, to meditate upon the equality between self and others. So this is the method that we should first rely on or cultivate. That this is the first method that we should meditate upon, which is the equality between self and others. In other words, meditate on equalizing oneself with others. Yeah. Then then it says just as I purposely accomplished my happiness and purposely stopped my suffering, through also acting like that with respect to the discarding and adopting of others' happiness and suffering, I should protect all sentient beings by cherishing them as I do myself, because of equally accomplishing others' happiness and dispelling others' suffering. So the meaning is, just as I purposely accomplished my happiness and purposely stopped my suffering, and others, they also, just as, just like me, I wish for just like me, wishing for happiness and discarding suffering, others are exactly like me. So others are exactly like me in wanting happiness and not wanting suffering, or discarding suffering. So, so similarly, others discarding their suffering and accomplish their happiness just like me as well. So in this way, equalize oneself with others. So it means that others are just like me in wanting happiness and not wanting suffering, and also accomplishing happiness and discarding their suffering. So we are equal in this way. So we are the same in this way. So and in this way, then oneself and others are equalized.
What do you do? I'm going to do all the Dagi number computer. Dagi number computer in the Shibadua. That did you now? And that's about the Shibadua. That Laba last year, no Mayam, you also Sonji less use Tibetan Dijin Roa, that they do dance Roa, they do the Kanji Dashi, they were Denam Cheese. That they might be showing.
You know, Tadir. Tadir on it.
I did. It's
Tatero. Di lo yo na gijala.
Di lo se tsawar ma ta da gi number go bite.
Di.
Sim je taye ba. Ama ye de la ngawo nya lo che de mo. Ye da ge de du gi do le la ta ra ho la tsum ba ta go se la dire wa. Ta di ma tsawar ma se.
Next outline is explaining the meaning of meditating on equalizing oneself with others. And under this outline, then there is a qualm. Yeah, there is a qualm in relation under this outline, and it says, since infinite sentient beings are many, it would not be appropriate to generate the mind thinking I with respect to them. Hence, how can it be appropriate that the discarding and adopting of others' happiness and suffering are similar to that of mine? So this is a qualm under this outline, and in relation to this qualm is verse 91. He says, although there are many different divisions and aspects, such as the hands, they are same in being the body that is to be thoroughly protected. Likewise, all the different migrating beings in their happiness and suffering are the same in wishing to be happy, just as I do.
이와 타데바 뭐요 해서와 랑글이라 랑글라 방고 감발라 사바 이와 타데바 뭐요 그 랑글 린디 차시 마보지어데 그 차시 데라 칸치 와 손조 따도 셰기바 지도 줘라 소소리 감발라 손조 제가 나발라 좀 많이 감발라 좀 나사 많이 소소마 소소리 다 최대지야 손조 지야 지수로 와 네, 나랑 감발라 최대지네 손조 지기 나발라 메지바 디 마로와 다 라바다 강바 소소 우리 차지 참마들 소소 손조 제기바다 지소로와 지소에 다 대낭신로 나서와 소소 그 지소 나신 단 로와 선지 나라야 로와 선지 나라야 다 선지 가지 초 가시 메마 와 가시 노노지 피수서 봐야 가시 노노지 메바 다 가시 소소 남도 마보여기 가시 남도 기란 메기 가시 쪄봐야 보여. 가시 쪄봐 명바이 들이 단다무나 마보여 봐. 오다도 좀 마보여. 나서 제가 이 제당 마보여 때 이나 여체 강가데 대화 근데 가르치는 대화 내봐다 동네 문제 봐 지송을 안 했어. 상마 집어 지정 안 했어. 좋아. 집어 지정 안 했어. 집어 지정 안 해서 내 대단 한지 간다. 동네 세와다 대화 두발라 다 상쇼 내리매 가지고 그랬어. 주스마로와 상바다 좋아. 내리매 봐지. 대다게 봐 동네 세와다 대화 두야라 수수 상바다 좋아 내리매 봐지. 니와다 려 매봐지. 녀마지 보고 했어. 어때 된다 도도 되게 봐. 누가 써와치다. 어때 누가 써와치다 되게 보고 했어. 나가서 다 인정 보고 들어서 되게 다 한다.
So in response to this harm, although it says, although there are many different divisions of my body and aspects, such as the hands and legs, they are the same in being the body that is to be thoroughly protected by the person thinking I. So here first it talks about, so this verse talks about the meaning of, here it talks about the meaning of meditating on equalizing oneself with others. Then first it talks about the illustration, which is one's body. So these bodies has many parts, hands, legs, head, and so forth. So then even though there are many parts of this body, so however, it is they are being the same in being a body that is to be protected. So you will think so. So we will think that, oh, this is my hands, and then this is my legs, and then all these are parts of my body, and then they are the same in being the parts of body that is to be protected. And we will not think that, oh, this is my hand, and then this is my legs, so I need to take care of. I need to protect my hands, but not the legs. We will not think that, right? So we will think that, oh, these are parts of my body, which is to be protected. So similar to this illustration, sentient beings, there are different types of sentient beings. They are sentient beings who are of superior type, and they are of inferior type, and they are sentient beings with great wealth and resources, and they are sentient beings without, and they are sentient beings have many conceptualizations, and they are sentient beings with lesser conceptualizations. And similarly, there are sentient beings who have many misdeeds, and they are sentient beings with lesser misdeeds. So regardless regardless of the type, and they are all sentient beings are the same in wanting happiness and not wanting suffering. So regardless of the types of sentient beings they are, then we are all sentient beings are the same in being wanting happiness and not wanting suffering. So therefore, uh, uh, therefore, we shouldn't have this distant. We shouldn't have this distant and closed thought in relation to accomplishing their happiness and eliminating their sufferings. So we shouldn't have this thought regarding some as distant and some as close when we accomplish their happiness and when we eliminate their suffering.
What you want that due to in the way some money but once they do that change the way you are. The change the way you dollar money but only the way you take money but under each the seva. You don't do this seva the summa material the Hina studies of Malinga. Got it dog the way you change you la money but go down get out the way the dog change machine the change the way the dollar over dollar double Manjuya. 也当地的有一点到都新的时候干死，我在这里头，说那个具体情况就那么去，
Next outline is abandoning the notion that discarding and adopting of happiness and suffering being similar is inappropriate. I repeat, abandoning the notion that discarding and adopting of happiness and suffering being similar is inappropriate. And under this outline, there is an opinion. He says, others' suffering doesn't harm me, and my suffering is alike in that it doesn't harm others. Hence, it is incorrect that dispelling suffering for their sake is similar to dispelling my suffering. And in relation to this opinion, there are two verses, verse 92 and 93. They say, my suffering doesn't cause any harm to the bodies of others, but that is my suffering. Due to adhering as I, it becomes unbearable. Likewise, the suffering of others does not befall me. Nevertheless, that sufferings of me, due to adhering as I, will be hard to bear.
대단한 다그 등이 차대 그래서 와 다그 등에 레스 다그 등에 대가서 라나 다도 힘이 왕기 랑디 등에라 무제 반주왕이 레스 이거 다도 힘이 왕도와 다 등에라 무제 반주왕이 대나시 내 신지해라 와와 대나기 신지해야 내 다도 소와 공부하는스 대 공부 저 치료 도만도 가는 공부하러 다도 신발 대 공비 신지 내 신지 동화다
다도 신발이나 대갑디 당진을 왜
다도 신발에도 돼
갑디는 당진 나
당지다도 힘 당지 들어와
그렇죠
다 힘 들어와 당지 힘 들어 그 공부왕 들어와 진짜 이게 다도 소 공부왕에서 가장 저 제가 도만 번에 다도 힘 공부왕 들어와 공부왕이 내 힘지 동하다 다라 카투 내고 말이 들어와 오바면 줘야서 그거와 그 대다 신생지 동하디 다게 사자레스 다게 사와 샤와레 말씀은 능해래도 와 능해 인식제라 내 신제라 다도 힘이 되라 등에 주나 하자 즈바카와 이거리 예세 된다 들어와
등에 인신제라
뭐 등에 인신제라 사자레스 등에 사고야 사자레스 등에 신제라 다도 신비 되라 등에 주나 하자 즈바카와 이거서 등에 사와 차와 예세 아디로.
So the opinions is others' suffering doesn't harm me, and my suffering is alike in that it doesn't harm others as well. So hence is incorrect. Hence it is incorrect to dispel sufferings for their sake. Hence it is incorrect that dispelling suffering for their sake is similar to dispelling my own suffering. So and to respond to this opinion, then he says there is no fault. Even if my suffering does not cause any harm to the bodies of others, just as the sufferings of others doesn't harm me, it is my suffering. So due to adhering to myself as I, my suffering becomes an unbearable occurrence.
짐바데나
다도 랑라 다도 셴바데 양 가자 랑기다 가자 양 셴기 동에 랑기 다기와데 레베 랑기 다기와 셴바이나
다기와 셴바
랑기 다기와 셴바 다기와 셴바로 양 셴기 동에 랑 야나디
랑라 다도 셴비로 와라 랑라 다도 셴비 랑도 동아라 무세 반중하는 시로 랑라 다도 셴비 오기로 와 셴비 오기 이게 무슨 중요한 그 신지 희는 거라. 이게도 신지 희야 다도 신바도 하자 공부 전부 했어. 하자 공부 전부 지고 새로 도망 가면
당진을 갑디
다도 신.
지산이 디랑라 다도 신베세 대양 디 당진을 당진제 맞어. Yeah. So due to adhering myself as I, so due to adhering to myself as I, it refers to self-grasping. So due to apprehensions of self, or you can say in relation to due to adhering to myself as I, it refers to due to self-grasping, grasping at the self, and my suffering becomes an unbearable occurrence. Likewise, due to familiarizing with holding even other sentient beings as me, although the sufferings of other sentient beings does not befall me. So here it says, likewise, due to familiarizing with holding even other sentient beings as me, refers to due to sentient beings, due to sentient beings due to self-grasping. Again, so here holding even other sentient beings as me, it refers to other sentient beings due to self-grasping. And although the sufferings of other sentient beings does not befall me, nevertheless, that sufferings of sentient beings is suffering I should dispel due to my adhering to sentient beings as I. If suffering were to occur to them, it will be hard to bear. So why do we need to dispel sufferings of other sentient beings? The reason is because it is suffering. Those sufferings of other sentient beings, since they are suffering, therefore they are mine to dispel. Here we are in the context of bodhicitta. So here it says that other sufferings are mine to dispel. So here, mine to dispel, so it can also be interpreted as other sentient beings are my suffering, meaning independence on others' suffering, one will experience suffering as well. For example, if our beloved ones, friends, relatives, or our parents, and if they experience suffering such as their limbs being cut off, then we will experience sufferings of mental unhappiness as well, right? So that is one way to interpret that others' sufferings are my suffering to expel because are my suffering to dispel, because in dependence on other sufferings, it will become my suffering as well. So just as the example that I mentioned just now. And here, in the context of this bodhicitta, then when we talk about other sufferings are mine to dispel because those are suffering. So as long as they are suffering, they are mine to dispel. So here we are in the context of discussing altruistic, meaning benefiting others, and how taking the responsibility to benefit others. And what is the responsibility? What do we need to do when we carry this responsibility to benefit others, which is to free other sentient beings from suffering and to accomplish happiness of others. So this is the responsibility to benefit others, or the responsibility of being altruistic. So therefore, when we talk about sufferings of others, as long as it is a suffering, they are mine to dispel. So this is the meaning of this explanation. On that, yeah.
Oh, there you are. That is
Next outline is stating the reasoning, or stating as the sign or reasoning is the same. So under this outline is verse 94. It says, I should dispel the sufferings of others because it is suffering, just like my own suffering. And I should benefit others because they are sentient beings, just like my body. 그래서 시행기 동에 나 대다기랑 낭싱레스 세고레스
요새 가르스나 요새 동아레스 시고로와 뜻배데 다기 되는지레스 다기 되는 시작과 세고로와 지적으로와 다디 현다데 다디 얘나 편바도 다 동아도와 내가 니마도 요 말라기 마미 대화도에 편바도에 니마도 요 말스와 편바도에 다기 얘나 편바다 대화도 그래서 누가 시작이고 요새 가르스나 신체 바로 생체 바로 말하는 게 생체 임신하는 거 생체레스 말고 딱 하다 내가 너도 그래 내가 그 신체 바로 신체 지나도 장도 말하는 거 그 생체레스 안다 생체 임신체라 뱀바 두고야 돼 뱀바 대화 두고야 돼 그거 배샤오니 다 우리라 대화 두고 나시레스 다 디셔부가 다 우리라 대화 두고 나시 생체레스 생체 임사 뱀바 대화 두고 그래 가르쳐서는 주도 우리 나시레스 다 우리라 다 근데 대화 용어
배나차잖아.
배차잖아. 다 우리가 대화 용어 해도 다 강도 주도 지고요. 어디 나시겠어? 다다 이거도 돼. 그러니까 이 배샤도 가서 배 파마산 자이라서 이 배 전부도 배 그래서 파마는 다 길어서 또 소소 마지막에 받더니 주나 그래서 대중과 용어로 다가서 장주생이야 특별 정보에 나는 리바 제우디 그래서 이제 단지 파마 나시 차잖아. 대상 당하게 돼. 이제 단지는 센터 중에 내서 동해주나 그 고들라 동해 주말에서 소 마디 마치바 나 텔라 드라이브 진짜 나 집어 진짜 차사람 이 밤마에서는 이 제발 내고요 진짜 건강 집어 차사 그래서 그 대화 두고야 동해 잡고야
So as mentioned in relation to previous verse, and we talked about in dependence on other sufferings, then one will experience sufferings as well, with the illustrations of what our beloved ones or our parents, when they experience suffering such as their bodies being cut, then oneself will experience the sufferings of mental unhappiness. And then I also mentioned that then that we carry the responsibility, we take the responsibility to benefit others, right? And the responsibility responsibility to benefit others is none other than freeing sentient beings from suffering and accomplish their happiness. So and exactly and this is exactly what is mentioned in this verse, that I should dispel the sufferings of others because it is suffering, just like my own suffering. And I should benefit others because they are sentient beings, just like my body. So it means that it says the subject, the sufferings of others, I should dispel it because it is suffering. So here is exactly the structure that we know of about the subject, then the subject, and then the last part is reasoning. So here it says sufferings of others, I should dispel it because it is suffering. So since it is suffering, therefore I should dispel it. Then just and give the example, like for example, my own suffering. So just as in the case of my own suffering, means that, for example, my own suffering, and I should benefit others and accomplish happiness for them because other sentient beings are because they are sentient beings. So I should benefit others and accomplish happiness for them. So why do I need to do so? Because they are sentient beings. Then give the example, just as in the case of accomplishing happiness for my body. So in another way of saying this, in other words, it means, for example, accomplishing happiness for my own body. So yeah, so sufferings of others, I should dispel it because it is suffering. So since it is suffering, therefore is mine to dispel. And happiness of others, I should accomplish it because they are sentient beings. So since they are sentient beings, their happiness is mine to accomplish. Then we are in the context of bodhicitta. So we are talking about benefiting other sentient beings, and we are in the context of regarding sentient beings as our mothers, as our parents, right? So therefore, when they experience suffering, then we will experience unhappiness as well. So therefore, is our responsibility to free them from suffering, and their happiness is my responsibility to accomplish. We conclude with dedication. We dedicate these roots of virtue to the flourishing of Buddha Dharma and to the excellent happiness of all sentient beings. And we also dedicate these roots of virtue to all upholders of Buddha Dharma, mainly His Holiness, illustrated by His Holiness the Dalai Lama, to live eons long, to have excellent health, and may all their enlightened activities and holy wishes be accomplished instantaneously and spread in all directions. And we also dedicate these roots of virtue to our beloved teacher, Kyabshe Lama Zopa Rinpoche. May we meet the unmistaken reincarnations of Rinpoche as soon as possible, and may Rinpoche's holy wishes be accomplished instantaneously without any obstacle. And we also dedicate these roots of virtue to world peace. May excellent happiness prevail throughout the world. May wars, conflicts, disaster, natural disaster, pandemic, diseases be pacified immediately. And we also dedicate these roots of virtue to those who pass away, and especially those who pass away because of these conditions. Then may all their negativities accumulated since beginningless time be pacified immediately and quickly achieve the state of enlightenment.
Sabe ke wa de den dang zhuo gun la gang bian dang xie ma ji sun lo zang zhang ba yi ten bei nin bo rin do se ji shuo chang shu sen jiu rin bo jie ma jie pa nang ji gu ji jie pa nyang ma me ba yang kong du me wa shuo jiang bei ba wei ji dang jin ba dang kun du sang bo de yang de xin de de da kun ge ji su da lo ji ge wa di da dang jie rab du ngo da wa rin bo jie ma jie pa nang ji gu ji jie pa nyang ma me ba yang kong de kong du me wa shuo da wa rin bo jie ma jie pa nang ji gu ji jie pa nyang ma me ba yang kong de kong du me wa shuo yi jie song du ju me lang qi zhen sen se gang jin jin du gun qian na bin mo tin jin gao zu la du wa de zo yin de lu zhuo shuo kan de bei de ma lu ba kan de zhong wei sang bei yu jin nu kan de su me tin jin gao zu la su wa de zo tu jin lu zhuo shuo ta me de ba ji se yin rang zu yao se gu ba jie rang jiang xin ye jia yu ma lu bei ten de me ba tu bei ge le zo yong zu zu bei tu de rin bo qi xie dang tu bei zin jing bei wa la na yang mi shun shi bei go jiang jin su me jie ze la ma su wa de ma lu jing wei go ji go ge wei ten dang mi wang tu wa yi dang la ji tu zhen ba zhen lu mu lu bu shi wa ji de yi le ba wei dang shi ze ge se xin la dang tian se nang ti tu ge la yang du sa bei zun ge sang tu xie bei do niu xie shuo gang li ra wei go wei xin gang de bei dang de wang ma lu jing wei ne jie le se wang ten zin gao zui sha bei si de fa tu teng yu ji